300,000 here on a steaming hot day for the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. How's it going to play out, and who's going to win it? Time to start finding out. Ed Carpenter's going to lead lap one.
Big sigh of relief when they make it through the first two corners without any accidents. That has been a very busy first lap.
What I noticed on that, on the turn one, if you saw a car going around the outside, none other than Tony Kanaan taking advantage of either a start or a restart. One of the bravest, and he went around the outside and moved up a couple of spots.
Willpower 12, Simon Pagenaud, and the Neon 22 taking a look for second spot.
Penske teammates, and Roger said the other day during a press conference, he said, we tell our drivers to take care of each other for the first 180 laps, and there's no team orders. The last 20 laps, you go racing. You got to get to the end, though.
There's Pagenaud again inside of power for second. He'll get that in turn one. Matthias Lace, the rookie, with a bid for a spot that he gets down into the corner.
Just think about what it's like for Matthias Lace. Yes, he's raced here before. He's won the Freedom 100, but when you get to an IndyCar, he says it's so much faster. The short chutes don't even seem like straightaways. Great leadership from the team on the ABC team, but also having a teammate like Tony Kanaan in your stable. He said, I have learned so much from Tony. It seems like I've cut 2 years off my rookie stripes.
That is absolutely true, but you cannot teach somebody what it's going to feel like when you do those first 2 or 3 laps at the start of Indy 500. There is so much turbulence that you're just trying to get around the track without making any mistakes. Just about now, everybody is starting to settle in. They know what their car is feeling like, and they're starting to get used to finding a rhythm that will be with them throughout the rest of the race.
What's up with Davison's car?
The situation is he was on the radio early on saying that the car was loose. They said, hang in there, hang in there. We're seeing an example of what happens if you hang in there too long. If you have one end that's not working, it goes away in a hurry. James Davison, a classic example.
It's J.R. Hildebrand in the blue, orange, and white car that just picked up a spot on Charlie Kimball in that corner. Davison, of course, has crashed once already in the week this week. A heavy crash. Left him battered pretty good as he's going to lose a spot here to Oriol Servia.
He's created an enormous bottleneck behind him.
And Eddie, you know what ends up happening when a car goes back in front of you. Your car gets to be more nervous, more undrivable. So every time a car passes him, he has more risk to actually lose control of the car. But you're right, the bottleneck behind him has created just a traffic jam.
And the leader is catching the tail end of the field, and that's Ed Carpenter at the back of that pack, right behind the double wide.
And watch for Ed to pit. He won't want to be wasting time here. He'll slip into the pits, I'm sure.
Danica Patrick, the first one to pit. Rick?
Yeah, early on, Jan was talking about the question, do you go for fuel or do you go for tires? Well, in this case, it's tires and the concern about the balance of the car. They were concerned about that. As a result, they said they're going to take half a turn of wing out and send her back out. There you see they make that adjustment and send her back out into this race.
Boy, Davidson sure has changed the complexion of this race early on. Right now, Carpenter has to find a way to carve his way through all those cars. If not, he'll get passed by Pagenaud.
Here's Tony Kanaan in.
Yeah, Tony Kanaan, remember, he was fastest on carb day, the last practice before we got to the Indy 500. They're going to make a wing adjustment on his car as well. Hasn't been saying an awful lot about the car in terms of its condition, other than it's time to make a minor change. Nice clean stop.
And Rick mentioned that wing change. Tony Kanaan was probably complaining about understeer where the front doesn't react. The wing change will take care of that.
Here come the leaders to pit road. Simon Pagenaud, Ed Carpenter, both in. A few others followed him in. Castroneves will also come in. Back of that line, that's Charlie Kimball in between Pagenaud and Castroneves. Rick?
Well, Simon Pagenaud bringing the car down. He was very happy on Friday. In fact, he said he had about a car that was about a 95 out of 100 in terms of where it was going to go and what it was going to do. He has not been complaining much about the car overall, but still a minor wing change. Doc?
Front wing change for Ed Carpenter, a little bit to try to help the understeer in the corner. Carpenter away, he will go out in front of Pagenaud. Ed Carpenter has not complained one bit about the car, but they're trying to think ahead. That's why they made the front wing change, to be able to get a little more front steer in the car in traffic.
Yellow is out at Indianapolis. James Davison has crashed in turn number 4. Here's what happened.
It was just a question of time when that was going to happen. You can't be running that much slower than anybody else.
Watch from Takuma Sato.
That's such a pity and such a waste for both of them. All they should have done was called him in, tried to fix the car. If it was loose, do something, even if it takes 2 or 3 laps.
Green flag, here we go. Here's Carpenter inside. Kanaan looking outside of Clayman DeMello in turn 1.
That's the perfect move for Ed Carpenter. He's putting a distance between him and everybody else.
There goes Tony Kanaan to the inside. Remember, everybody's on fresh tires, so the tires have a lot more grip with those Firestones. For Clayman DeMello, used tires, and he's going to get past very often here very quickly.
Caution, trouble. Ed Jones. Off of turn 2. Green flag is out. Tony Kanaan chasing the leader, Ed Carpenter, with a big run.
And the crowd erupts anytime Tony Kanaan takes the lead.
Anytime one of Foyt's cars takes the lead. So this is the first hard exam that Ed Carpenter's going to have to deal with. We'll see how he deals with Kanaan.
Hunter Ray and Piggott. Hunter Ray backs off. Didn't quite have the position alongside. That's Sebastien Bourdais picking up a spot on Charlie Kimball, a little deeper in line. Bourdais 18, Kimball 23. Robert Wickens right behind them in the 6. Up front, Carpenter for the lead.
Side clear.
Well,
Ed Carpenter, hometown boy, against Tony Kanaan.
That didn't last very long.
Favorite driver.
Okay, so you got the jump on me on the restart. I'll show you who's got the horse today. Just a little 230 mile an hour Sunday drive into the corner. Trouble, Danica Patrick.
On a break. On a break.
Very similar to Ed Jones. In the middle of the turn, the back end starts to come around. I thought that she was dealing with a car that was very neutral, too positive on the front. When we watched her earlier in the race, that means it's very difficult to turn into the turn because the back end wants to swap ends. Not sure if that's the case there, but looks very similar, as you mentioned, Eddie, to Ed Jones.
Green flag with Carpenter and Kanaan again on a restart.
Will he have enough momentum to get around Carpenter? Looks like he does, although Ed had the inside line.
Will power around Simon Pagenaud for 3rd. Castroneves next in line 4th. And how about Ryan Hunter Ray from 14th to 5th, former winner of the 500.
That doesn't shock me at all that he's found a way to the front. I'll tell you what, starting from the front position so far, you're a sitting duck. If there's 5 or 6 laps to go, that's not the best place to be.
That white car you saw around the outside, that's Oriol Servia, who was a lap down, took a wave around at the 2nd caution. Now there he is through some of the strategy up in 10th place and climbing. 3 wide, sorting out into turn 1.
And rush hour traffic at 210 or 15 miles an hour.
Got to get all you can get on these restarts. the grass, for goodness sake. Rossi, 27, blue and yellow car. Also done a nice job working his way forward. Remember, he started on the last row. He started 32nd. Alexander Rossi running in 12th place right now. Here is Kanaan, indeed, from the lead.
TK, you want that half a turn? No. Okay, copy. Wide open. You can see it.
That was very emphatic. No, I don't want that half turn.
All right, Rick.
Which is interesting when you think about it. A lot of teams have been making greater turns. I just heard another team talking about one more turn they're going to make. The critical thing here for these guys is to get these pit stops just right. When we're under green flag conditions, they need to make sure that they time this as well as possible, get them back out. And there, look at that, a 7-second pit stop. That is blindingly fast.
I mean, we could try a little more, but it is what it is.
So Carpenter here from the lead, putting Will Power out front.
And you heard Ed Carpenter when they asked him, what do you want? He said, maybe a little more, but it is what it is, meaning the understeer, especially the nose of the car, feeling light in turn 3. Okay in 1 and 2, but light in turn 3. Make a slight air pressure adjustment. Going to put 4 tires. Got to get it full of fuel. Fuel very important right now. Holding it, no wing change, he's away.
Marco Andretti also on the pit lane. Already has finished his stop, and he will follow Carpenter back onto the racetrack. So Will Power, the race leader. Here's Carpenter coming out with Kanaan. Kanaan's going to zoom by him off turn number 2 for once the field cycles through the stops.
Yeah, Will Power has been sitting up at the front, not able to really do everything he wants, but you see no wing adjustment. They send him back out with a nice clean stop.
Elio Castroneves, they asked if he wanted a front wing. He said, let's just go with air. Let's save that wing. Elio said, I'm worried about running out of adjustments. Let's make it with air this time and save the wing for later.
Tony Kanaan back on pit lane so soon, Rick.
Yeah, apparently he has a puncture in the right rear, and this is really going to put a major dent in his effort to win this Indianapolis 500. Not sure what caused it. There's the opportunity for debris. Sometimes you get close to something. Doesn't really matter. Bottom line is he's forced to come in, do another pit stop, and that is going to put a major dent in his ability to win this race, and he was out front.
So there's your new leader, Will Power. 37-year-old from Australia, originally now living outside of Charlotte in his 11th 500. He drives for Roger Penske. We said before the race, when you drive for Roger Penske, you are expected to win the 500.
The only thing that's missing for him is an Indy 500 win, because he has won everything else. And he's definitely on a road course, one of the fastest qualifiers. Always a good fun to watch.
Riding with Scott Dixon, running 6th. Dixon started in 9th position. Here's Ed Carpenter in. 73 laps to go, Doc.
And very interesting, they're really wanting him to hit a fuel number, and you got to be wondering if they're thinking about maybe getting some yellows and somehow pushing the envelope and making it on one more stop. They talked about that yesterday in the garage. Here he is for a stop. They didn't talk about making any wing change. They mentioned air pressure, basically just trying to stay out of trouble and get good fuel mileage. 7.4 seconds for the pole sitter.
Mateus Laced also on and off the pit road with Ed Carpenter on this lap. Simon Pagenaud is going to peel off and hit the pit lane along with Elio Castroneves. So the Penske team cars in here. We're on a 55-lap green flag run at this point since the last restart. And here they're in with 72 to go, Rick.
Yeah, Simon Pagenaud was actually complaining of a vibration just a short time ago. And they said, look, we're going to pit in just 2 or 3 laps. Can't do anything about it right now. That might explain why he wasn't doing as well as he could on the track. Nice quick stop, Doc.
Elio Castroneves, Roger keeps talking about what a great fuel number he's getting. A little slow leaving the pit there. Probably cost him an extra second or so, but Roger said, I'm very impressed, Elio. Great job with the fuel.
And from the lead, Will Power heads for the pit lane. Ryan Hunter-Reay will take over the number 1 spot. Power working his way down toward his crew, Rick.
Yeah, Will Power, actually, they made some adjustments on the car on the first couple stops, but they did not make any adjustments on the last stop. They also were talking about fuel. Will Power came on the radio and asked the team, did he need to do anything with regards to fuel? They're like, nope, you're good. Keep doing it the way you're doing. 7.1 second stop.
Trouble. Sebastien Bourdais has crashed, and the yellow flag is out in the Indy 500.
Wow. These cars are so difficult to control when they're on the limit. When you're behind somebody, you get caught up in dirty air and you have a little bit too much steering in. He just had a tank slapper. Whereas the last years, you'd have had 800 to 1,000 pounds more downforce to help you. Look at that. He just barely got sideways and then lost control. This is all happening at 220 miles an hour.
Here we go. Restart with 55 laps to go in the race.
We'll see how Power does at this restart, because every time Carpenter was in front, he lost the position.
Hunter Ray with a move on Pagenaud. Pagenaud fends it off. Castroneves tries to attack. Look at Rossi on the outside. Alexander Rossi with the move of the race.
You just don't do that with these new cars, but he did.
And
Four wide.
You can tell we're getting towards the end of the race.
But listen to Dixon work the throttle. That's how difficult these new cars are to drive. But he makes it through.
Caution, trouble. Elio Castroneves into the wall.
Oh dear.
Look for the yellow car. Wow.
Same thing. That's the same thing we've been seeing all day.
Ryan Hunter-Reay directly behind him, and Alexander Rossi made some brilliant moves not to get collected in that accident. Back end's light, it comes around. You cannot control that.
And the green flag is back out, Doc. Restart. And Will Power will try to fend off that hungry pack of people behind him. Look at Alexander Rossi trying to fight his way through in that blue and yellow.
And he's on the high side again.
Man, I can't believe he did it.
He got through two drivers in two corners. Rossi, who started second to last in this race, fighting his way to the front.
Well, he's starting to put all of his cards on the table.
Oh, trouble into the wall. Sage Karam. And another caution flag.
But what a brilliant piece of driving. Caught the car, brought it back, put it up against the wall.
Same thing that happened to everybody else.
Lost
grip.
Back end started to come around. Got loose, he caught it halfway through the turn.
But when he hit the wall, it just ripped that right rear
It
tire off the
sure
car.
did.
And after that,
Once you hit the wall, everything starts coming off. Power got the jump on Carpenter, and he's going to lose another position to Rossi.
Alexander Rossi on the move again on the outside, going for second place on Ed Carpenter. Carpenter not wanting to give in.
Rossi is still on Carpenter's gearbox, leaving two.
Whoa, big slide there for Matthias Laced. Wickens had to check up. Look at Kanaan. Tony Kanaan trying to blast his way back toward the front. In the 14 car.
Oh, God.
Are you kidding me?
This is insane.
Tony Kanaan is working his way back up to the front of the pack. He's likely going to need one more yellow flag to pull it off. You see they made just a wing adjustment there. He's been able to move his way up on those restarts. He's a master at it. He'll probably need one more to pull this off.
Yeah, get the yellow flag not for fuel, just for track position and another chance at a restart to try and take advantage. Here's Ed Carpenter in from the race lead. Graham Rahal follows him down the pit lane. Doc?
Ed Carpenter saved fuel so he can pit a couple laps later because he wants to burn fuel to be able in this last stint to run down Will Power and company. They talked about adding some front wing. 4 tires, gotta get it completely full of fuel. There's the front wing. Oh, down and away, Carpenter.
So Power, who pitted with 29 laps to go, the highest up of the cars we know can run hard all the way to the finish. But Oriol Servia is the leader. And Steph Wilson is second, and Jack Harvey is third. They all pitted at lap 157, 157, and 158. Will we see another late lead change in this race like we've seen in the last 8 years of the event? Crash Doc Tony Kanaan is in trouble and into the wall, and the yellow flag is out with 12 laps to go.
I'm okay. Sorry, guys. I'm out.
That tricky turn 2 caught another one.
Looks like the car just started to wiggle just a little bit. Coming out of the turn, back end started to move a little bit. Looked like he had a correction, almost caught it, and then it got away from him.
Almost doesn't do it around here. That's the same thing.
But you're hopeful.
You can be hopeful as much as you want. Once it gets sideways, you're gone.
These 300,000 people have all just stood on their feet, coming to the green flag on a late restart to see who wins in Indianapolis.
He didn't get enough. He did not get enough.
Here comes Wilson, looking on Servia for the lead. Harvey in the inside, Power in the silver car. Wilson gets it. Power had to check up. How much will that cost him?
I think Dixon's going to get around him.
Stephen Wilson leads the Indianapolis 500.
Unbelievable. Power's going to have to start passing cars. There's not that many laps to go.
Got to get around Servia quick here. Power looking in the draft. Breaks to the outside, and he'll get to third place. 6 laps to go.
Other thing for Will Power, he's got fresher tires on his car by about 20 laps, so there's definitely going to be more grip.
He's almost close enough to make a pass at the end of this lap. But not quite. Needs another 6 feet.
Power tracking Harvey. Going to look. Won't have it in this set of corners.
Now it's all about timing. Sit back here for a little. And then get on the gas.
Watch the throttle. Ooh, he lost. He lost time in that lap.
His right hand went down to make an adjustment on the anti-roll bar to change the handling of his car. What a story for Stephen Wilson. Does he have enough fuel?
Oh, he's going to have to pit. And Harvey pits. In the pits. And Will Power takes the lead at Indianapolis with 4 laps to go.
You be the leader, my man.
This is where it's more difficult on the team and the spouse. You're driving the car. You know what you're doing out there. The team right now only sees you come back the front stretch all the time. The spouse, the same thing. For Liz, she's just got to wonder if he'll make it to the end.
Clear by 10.
We'll check his speed. His last lap was a 2:16.
Go hard here. We got cars pit.
Three laps to go.
That lap was a 2:20.
Which, compared to the race pace we've seen for a lot of the days, is blistering.
Is really fast, and the car that's following him just did a 2:16. This is Power's race.
Will Power, for a number of years, talked about having difficulty managing the mental aspect of racing. the pressure situations, had difficulty with that, got himself into position to win a championship, had to lose one to win one, finally won that championship. Then the oval track racing. People said he's not a good oval track racer. He's a supreme road course racer. He worked on it, losing out to Montoya in 2015 here, but finishing second. Springboarded Will Power's confidence level at this racetrack. And now here he is, I've told you before, so smooth and so calm and so confident all month, and now just over a lap away from checking that last box of career goals.
He's got one back marker to cut through.
And that box that you talk about, we mentioned earlier on the show, if you drive for Roger Penske, yes, you can win championships. As he's coming up for one lap to go, the white flag is flying, but you need to make sure that you win an Indianapolis 500 if you want to retain your job with Team Penske.
Clear by 40.
The lap car is Charlie Kimball. You hear the radio call, clear by 40 car lengths, 2 corners to go. Fans on their feet waving and cheering. He'll never be introduced the same way again. From now on, it'll be Will Power, Indianapolis 500 winner for 2018. Checkered flag, Power and Penske win it.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God! Hell of a job there, big guy. Good job, number 12.
It's like your world just starts all over again. I'm so glad I got to witness him winning.
Such a long way from Toowoomba, Australia to Victory Lane. He gets a hug from Simon Pagenaud. Let's talk about what this means. What a long journey you've had to this place today.
Man, I just can't believe it. I changed my attitude a lot after Barber. Very positive, had a great month. I just can't believe it. I got to thank Roger Penske, Verizon, and my parents for allowing me to get to this point. This is just, I can't describe it. I feel like collapsing, I want to cry. Oh my God, I couldn't stop screaming on the radio. I can't believe it.
All right, so you're leading with just a handful of laps to go, and the yellow flag comes out. What's going through your mind?
I'm just like, I have to get these guys. I don't know how much fuel they got, but this is a restart of my life. And then I go on and 2 pit, I'm like, man, I think I'm going to win this. I was screaming on with 1 to go, screaming like, man, I got this. Unbelievable.
All right, you've had some low moments in your life, things that got away from you. We were so close. Does that make this so much sweeter for a guy who's at your age, 37 years old, to win this Indy 500?
I was wondering if I would ever win it, and thoughts went through my mind during the month, I guess. It's like, my career, I've had so many wins, so many poles, but everyone always talks about the 500, and I won it. I just couldn't imagine winning a race in front of a crowd like this. This many people, it's just amazing. What an event. I love it.
Well, the Borg Warner Trophy's behind you. Your face is going to be on it. Congratulations, Will Power.
Watch the Chevrolet Duel in Detroit, Duel 1, Saturday, June 2nd at 3:30 p.m. on ABC.